let's take a look at the linear systems of equations capstone. Now, each of the questions that you'll be asked in this skill are questions from other skills that you've covered in this unit. So it's all about bringing it all together. Okay, so I'll run through them really quickly. If there's anything extra you need, there's all those other videos as well that will give you feedback on them. So to find out how many solutions a system of equations has, you need to examine both of the equations and you need to find their slope and their y-intercept. Recall that the number of solutions is given by the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, you have one solution if the slopes are different and the y-intercept doesn't matter. You have zero solutions if they're parallel lines, if the slopes are the same and the y-intercepts are different. And you have infinitely many solutions if they're the same right across the board. Both the slope and the y-intercept are the same, essentially making both equations the same line. Okay, so this is what you want to go by. Right? If you don't already have this in your notes, make a note of it. Okay, so addressing this question, we have our slope and our y-intercept. That's an equation in slope-intercept form. So our slope m equals 3, and our y-intercept b equals 8. Okay, looking at the second equation here, this equation here is in standard form. So if you recall I, j, and k, where our slope m is given by negative I over j, which is negative 12 over negative 4, which is of course equal to 3. And our y-intercept b is given by k over j, which is negative 32 over negative 4, which is also 8. So what we can see right here is that our slopes and our y-intercepts are both the same. So we've got the slope here is 3, the slope here is 3, the y-intercept here is 8, the y-intercept here is 8. Since we've got the same slope and the same y-intercept, that gives us infinitely many solutions. Okay, so there's no need to fill out this bottom part here because we've got infinitely many solutions. Okay, again, looking at the same thing here again. How many solutions does the system have? We're going to recall again that we've got our table there that we have in our notes at this point. Okay, so we want to find out the slope and the y-intercept for each of these. So the slope is going to be negative 5 over negative 6. That's the inverse of the x term, of course, over the y term, which of course is just 5 over 6. Let's look at the slope here before looking at the y-intercept. This here, we need to subtract 20 from both sides to get standard form. And now we have the slope is negative 4 over negative 3, which of course is just 4/3. And we can see right away these two slopes are different, so we have exactly one solution. Now, because we've got exactly one solution, we need to solve what that solution actually is. So let's take a look at solving what the solution is. So a couple of techniques that we've had from before, if you recall. We're going to keep these in standard form, and we're going to solve for x and for y, right? So we're going to take 5x minus 6y equals negative 25. And we've got 4x minus 3y equals negative 20. Right? So this is a slightly adapted form of what we have here. Okay. Now, we can see here we've got common factors right here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this one here times 2, right? Because that's going to give us a negative 6 as well. Okay, so that's going to give us 8x minus 6y equals negative 40. And from that, we're going to subtract our 5x. So we've got 5x minus 6y equals negative 25, and we're going to just subtract that entire equation. So that gives us 8x minus 5x is 3x. This cancels. So 3x is equal to negative 15, because we're subtracting. 40 minus 25 is 15, and we're stuck in the negatives. Okay, so we've got negative 15 dividing by 3 above and below, all over the place, is giving us x equals negative 5. So there's our first one there. X equals negative 5. We can plug that right in here. And the second one we're looking for here, now we're just going to plug x equals negative 5 into one of our equations. So if we plug in negative 5 right here, for x we get negative 25 minus 6y equals negative 25. Now, I hope you recognize here that by adding 25 to both sides, we're actually done. Because by adding 25 to both sides, we cancel out the 25s, and we end up with 6y, or negative 6y, equals 0. And the only way that that could ever be true is if y is also equal to 0. So that gives us y equals 0. Okay, one more question. Again, first we want to find out how many solutions the system has. So we want to look at this. We want to find out the slope first of all, to see if it has one solution, and if necessary, we'll look at the other ones. Okay, so finding out the slopes of both of these, we actually have an equation here which needs to be manipulated a little bit. It's not in the form that we want. I'm going to suggest that we actually put this into standard form rather than slope-intercept form, because the other equations in standard form, but we want them uniform if necessary. Okay, so to do that, all we're going to do is we're going to subtract 3y from both sides, and that is going to give us 2x minus 3y equals negative 1. All right. So let's look at the slopes. Slope of this first one here is negative 2 over negative 3, so that's negative 2/3. Sorry, that's positive 2/3. It's just 2/3. The slope of the second one here is negative 6 over negative 9, which is also 2/3. So right away we have either no solutions or infinitely many solutions. So we're going to be done pretty quickly with this one here, because we have the same slope. Okay, let's find out the y-intercepts. So for this first one here, the y-intercept is given by negative 3y. All right, just categorize these so you see what we're finding out. Negative 3y, sorry, negative 3, which is the y term, over negative 1, which of course is just positive 3. And for the second one here, we're looking at negative 9 over negative 3, which is also equal to positive 3. So we've got everything the same, giving us infinitely many solutions. And there's nothing more to do on this question because it was infinitely many solutions. Okay, I hope that's enough for you to go by. Recognize that these are the skills that we've already done in other skills. We've covered how to solve how to figure out how many solutions there are using the slope and the y-intercept, and if you have only exactly one solution, then how to find that using either elimination or substitution. It's up to you. Okay, good luck.